think about mining as a whole, and I think I touched on this. Unless we find a way as leaders to attract younger people and motivate them and get them right out of high school, and maybe they go into colleges. There's not enough people going into colleges anymore, into mining programs, into geology programs, into surveying. We really need to get better. All the big guys, the small guys, all of us together collaboratively, we've got to start using everything we can to start promoting how great mining truly is and what kind of great career you can have along the way. Anything can happen in mining, and you don't have to have a perfectly written script. You could create your own script. So when I think about mining, I think metal prices are going to be very strong over the next 10 years. I think we're on to a very powerful bull market in gold, silver, copper, antimony, other metals. I think mining is strong. Permitting is it is what it is. You're not just going to flip a switch and change permitting. So do your homework. Some jurisdictions, like you look at permitting in the US, permitting in Canada, permitting in Australia, it's a pretty well written script, and you follow your procedures and get it done.
The book, Mining, Why It's Essential for a Sustainable Future, it's probably got three parts. It firstly talks about why mining is essential for everything, which it truly is. I don't think people realise as they look around that absolutely everything uses the products of mining, metals and minerals. And there are metals and minerals in everything. The only things that don't have metals and minerals in them are things that are grown, like our food. And as we point out in the book, even food production couldn't happen without all the metal in the equipment that plants it, harvests it, processes it, delivers it. Everything has metals and minerals. So that's the first piece. The second piece of the book is really a bit of a mining 101, Rob. It's telling people, well, if it's so important, we better tell you a bit about it. So I go through a bit of a summary of what mining actually is and what's involved, and how complicated it can be, and how long it takes to develop mines. And then the third piece is the crucial sort of summary of everything, which is where the title comes from. And that is saying, well, contrary to what a lot of people might understand, as we seek to be more sustainable, as we move towards renewable energy and all those things, actually we're going to need even more metal. So moving from traditional energy, let's say, even going back to coal and oil and gas, moving towards a more renewable future, actually needs more metal. So we're going to have to do more mining, not less. And so people really have to appreciate that, understand what it means, and support the mining industry. Because without the mining industry, none of our sort of desire for a sustainable future will be achieved.
A particular ore body has already got 10 million ounces of gold, and then another 10 million ounces of gold equivalent in the copper. So it's about a 50-50 ratio between gold and copper. And so if you want to look at it from a gold equivalent, it's actually 20 million ounces of gold equivalent. And that's without even completing the drill out phase. It's completely wide open in all directions. So it's already a world-class scale. It's over 800 million tons. So the reason why these assets are so strategic, because you've got a significant amount of metal in one chunk, and then you can use these different mining methods like block caving, open pit mining, and you can mine these things for multiple decades. So this is an asset that could easily be mined for up to 40 or 50 years. So the beauty of that is you're going to get multiple cycles, and that's what major mining companies want. They want to be able to ride a cycle all through the cycles and multiple decades, because as we know, there's highs and lows of mining, and the short mine life opportunities, unfortunately, are risky because you might miss the cycle. So these assets, I won't go too much into the geology, but they are a particular type of asset that makes for a very large scale, which drops your operating costs right down. But more importantly, they give you that extended mine life.
Is embarking on the same trajectory as rare earth. And I think that trajectory is accelerated with Donald Trump's policy of being self-sustainable. So for example, Tesla just talked about creating the first lithium and phosphate batteries in the United States for their cars.
29 million in the bank. So so that's sort of our focus at the moment. Now, when we start receiving revenue, we'll go back to looking at our broader 677 square kilometre package. The area of exploration that we are actually still, looking at and not in any way sort of cutting back on is the underground extensions at Crown Prince, which we're highly confident of. So that's after the pit finishes, what happens to below 140 metres. We're saying around 1,200 ounces per vertical metre beneath the pit at Crown Prince. And if you know gold mining, the rough rule of thumb is around 900 ounces per vertical metre to be something interesting from an underground point of view. An ounce to our endowment will be well and truly in the zone for a good underground. So that all occurs within a 400 by 300 metre area. So that's a lot of ounces in a small area, per metre as you go down. So we're keeping the momentum going on that, and we're also looking at maybe what other prospects do we have, what other satellite prospects do we have that we can look at after the Crown Prince open pit.
So look, when I took the asset over, I mean, it wasn't in great shape. Finances were very dry, and the asset itself, is a world-class asset. As far as we're concerned, it is the second largest deposit of gold in Europe. It's the second largest deposit of copper, proven and probable, measured and indicated within the European context. You're looking at a 10.4 million ounce equivalent of gold, and there aren't many assets in the world that exist with that type of uniform deposit in a porphyry style. So we're not mining epithermal veins, quartz veins. It's just one big block of uniform copper and gold in terms of volume and extraction. So it's very steep. I mean, so we're in a very, very secluded part of Romania, which has a rich history of gold mining and mining in general. It predates the Romans. So the mines were operating here till about 2006, and we need to now make sure that we take this deposit, get it into production, because it will just continue to deliver a really good free cash flow every year, because the deposit is very uniform, and that is not common. It's not a common find.
We have of course, new discoveries made during the way, new targets, I would say. We have tried to grow Rajapalot resource, what we already have, and we want to add ounces in the future, of course. We haven't officially updated the resource yet because we just received our final results in late June. So now we are definitely looking at those and decide whether we want to do the resource update now, even update the PEA, or even go to the pre-feasibility study. And that's all dependent, of course, of the results. But we are very happy to these 2 drill seasons what we had. The programs were successful, and we got very nice step out, so we know that we have added ounces. And bottom of till program brought us few new drill targets as well, and these could be added, these possible discoveries, to Rajapalot project as well. So it looks good. So we are kind of doing the modeling and analyzing now inside the house, and soon, within few weeks, we will we are able to make decisions on the official resource.
Actually, if we just see the historically, before 2015, the grant of the mineral concession, we call concession means that is a reconnaissance permit, prospecting license, mining lease. They were based on the old MMDR Act, where the first come, first serve basis was the procedure. After 2015, the whole gimmicks has changed. Now the grant of the concession in a auction mode. So based on the data available with the government or with the agencies, the block will come for the auctioning, and by that auctioning the block will be granted to the successful bidder. So it will make a big changes in the mining scenario in the India. But first they are giving more the revenue to the state, and secondly it expedite, and third it is becoming a transparent procedure for grant of the mineral concession. So that way this whole changes are making that India will become self-sustained. And as we know that the steel policy is making in 2030 100 million ton of the more of the steel production, 300 million ton of the steel production. Then like then we are giving a thrust on the critical minerals also. We are telling that becoming self-sufficient and not depend on the import of the mineral also. So that way everything good opportunity for the Indian as well as all over the world also, because we are open for all globe to come and invest in the India and venture our resources into the reserve. And
there's a lot to be excited about with the Donlin project. It's big, 40 million ounces at 2.25 grams. It's better than twice the grade of many new mines that have been commissioned in recent years. A lot of companies are mining less than a gram quite profitably. Donlin at 2.25 grams will have some of the most competitive costs in the mining business. So I think just the sheer scale of the asset is very exciting. And, our investor base, I'd say about 70% of our outstanding shares are with the top 10 shareholders, all, well-seasoned financial institutions. And as the world continues to get more complex, they look at Donlin as a, great place to have an investment in a gold mining property. And it's, our shareholders, many of them have been with us for over 10 years, and they see the long-term potential in Donlin. Paulson has been a shareholder since 2007, 2008. So they know the company well, they know the project well, and they see it the same way we do, that now is the time to move the project forward to a construction decision and build the mine that will benefit the state of Alaska and the people that live in the region around the mine site.